Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at Excel homework problem number 2 for chapter 1. And in this problem we're going to use some data here. We've got a merchandising company and a manufacturing company. And we're going to be analyzing the data from these companies in order to calculate goods available for sale and then also cost of goods sold for both companies and the different type of companies here. Okay, so let's look real quick at the data. We've got a merchandising company, and in that instance, for the merchandiser, we have beginning merchandise inventory, cost of purchases, and ending merchandise inventory. And as we talked about previously, merchandising, the process of buying products and then reselling them, is different from manufacturers who are creating the products that they're going to sell. And so a few key differences here to look at and talk about. We've got merchandise inventory instead of finished goods inventory, manufacturing merchandising, cost of purchases versus cost of goods manufactured. So here we're purchasing, here we're manufacturing. And then we've got ending merchandise inventory, and just like we did with beginning, ending finished goods inventory. And we are going to use that data to calculate cost of goods available for, or should I say, calculate goods available for sale using the template below this here. And we're going to input both the descriptions and the amounts from above. So when we're talking about goods available for sale, this is always going to be kind of the beginning plus whatever we added in. And so this here for a merchandiser would be beginning merchandise inventory plus cost of purchases, right? And so this is what we started with. This is the additional amount of inventory we purchased. And so really what we're talking about is before we account for any sales that happen during the period, this is the whole pool of inventory that we could sell from a cost perspective. And then if we look at that similarly from a manufacturing perspective, same idea. And I'm just linking these in just as an FYI. If haven't been using Excel much, you might notice me put a plus sign when I'm linking different cells. And just keep in mind that the plus sign, generally speaking, works the same if you put it at the beginning of a formula like this as an equals sign. So alternatively, I could do equals, and we could say cost of goods manufactured. But the plus sign is on the 10 key, so where you have your numbers. So a lot of accounting work, you're just doing pluses. It's easier for your thumbs to rest there and fingers to push that button. So just FYI. Okay, so same thing. We're going to link up there. And as you follow along as well, maybe I should just say, I'm going to do Excel things like dragging down to have the links update, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you can follow along pretty well and you're somewhat experienced with Excel and know what I'm doing there. But if you ever have a question about how did he get that to work or how did that formula work, please reach out. I'm more than happy to help you practice your Excel skills and explain anything that might be unclear. And then I'm using the auto sum function here. So we're just doing a formula to add those together. So our whole pool, if you will, of cost that we have of inventory to sell are these amounts here. And now we're going to calculate cost of goods sold. And we're again going to put the descriptions and amounts. And so we're just going to carry down the cost of goods available for sale. So again, the amount of inventory, the cost that we could have sold in total from the period is that. And how we're going to figure out what we actually did sell is to put in the ending merchandise inventory here. Basically what's left over, this is what we could have sold in total. And then we're going to use this as a negative to indicate that we're going to subtract the ending, because that has not been sold, that this ending inventory, ending merchandise inventory or ending finished goods inventory, those are both still in our warehouse, for example. And so those are not yet sold. So they would not be included as a component of the cost of goods sold. So we're just going to sum those together. One's subtracting, so it's really this minus this gets us there. And as we can see, the cost of goods sold for this period for the merchandiser is $680,000. And then cost of goods sold here using this data is $1,197,000. So same idea, beginning plus what we added in minus the ending, kind of split these apart just to show how that all calculates through. But that's an important kind of concept to keep in mind. It's just this idea of you have a starting amount of inventory, you get more, whether you buy that as a merchandiser or you produce it as a manufacturer. And then if we were to go out and say, well, we don't exactly know, we're using the logic of how could we back into what was sold? And we do that by saying, well, what's still here? Okay, if it's not here, it's sold then, is essentially what we're assuming. And that's where we get these figures from. And then there's a little reminder down here just to get this in your mind about how the formulas work, where you'll see this on that some of these reports from chapter 1 that we'll look at, and just denoting that merchandisers use beginning inventory plus purchasers, while manufacturers use beginning inventory plus cost of goods manufactured. So just a little different, but we're going to primarily focus on the manufacturing side as we go through these first few chapters. So just, keep that in mind. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Pretty straightforward problem. And join me in the next video, and we'll look at the third problem in the Chapter 1 Excel homework series. Thanks, everyone.